Good day everyone, and welcome to A Ranger's Guide to Aerois, a show where we sort of review and recap, maybe, High Roll's Aerois episodes. Because why not? With me, Ranger Sepper. Now, I should have gotten this out last week, or at least earlier this week, so I'm going to apologize for that. My audio was terrible when I recorded it, and I've been pretty busy this week. But enough of that, let's get straight into it. As a quick aside before we actually begin, Des, thank you so much for the shout out and donations. I really appreciate it, just please don't do it again. Anyway, now we'll really get started. I'll be honest, not much happened in episode 20, like, seriously. It's surprising how little progress was made, but it was actually still a really great episode. Right at the start, we learned the basic rules for Spell Clash. It's completely safe. This is reiterated a lot, although that makes me have some doubts. Two duelists are shrouded by a Spell Clash shield, which is like this device which creates sort of this force field around them. When the shield breaks, the duelist loses. Any spell is allowed, and causing physical harm to your opponent disqualifies you. So that's really all there is to the rules. As it turns out, duelists often have stage names such as Wraith, so I expect to see some really interesting names from the party eventually. We get to witness a match, which is remarkably short, lasting 2 minutes at most. The duelists appear to have access to higher-level spells than any of the gang is currently capable of, but Lucius and Valor are really into it and they want to sign off. Unfortunately, in order to apply, they need a manager. While this is going on, Aerois, Sentry, and Kalu, the orc from last episode, are at a bar. They're having a conversation over some absolutely vile-sounding alcohol, and he warns them against the priest of Palador in town and makes comment that the wild elf Aerois is looking for is most likely being held up in the abbey. During this time, we also find out that Zephyr does have a curse associated with her called the Glint, where an individual's greed begins to outweigh their sense of adventure. Now, I'm personally not sure if that's really a curse or just human nature, but I guess time will tell. Oh yeah, Sentry gets drunk. Yep, Guardians can get drunk. But they do sober up really quickly. The others eventually show up, getting a washed-up, drunkard spellclash duelist, Gideon Golden Touch, to sponsor them as their manager in exchange for 30 gold. After meeting up, the gang heads back to the inn to drop off Valor, who is a little bit drunk, and while there, Arvel pays them back the gold for his leg, having gotten a considerable loan from an old business partner that is eager to start trading again, and he's really ready to be off back into Gold Throne. He agrees, however, to hang around for the next few days, as they do have their spellclash preliminaries the following evening. With all but other business accounted for, the party heads back to Malika. She is, quite reasonably, alarmed by Estelle's condition. When what happened to her is revealed, she tells them to be careful and informs them that the Harvest Guard will be keeping an eye on them, more out of the concern of Nightfrost's presence than for the group being a threat to the town. Next, they head to the Temple of Hesper, which is filled to the brim with old books and manned by a kooky old gentleman, who is an absolute pleasure to watch. Mark really outdid himself with this one. He thinks it's all one big joke until they present him with the topic of Nightfrost, at which point he suddenly becomes very serious, referring to the cloak as an Eterna. Now, I'll be honest, I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to spend a bit more time exploring Spellclash this episode, but the cliffhanger and this seemingly crazy individual knowing what an Eterna is a little bit too interesting for me to pass up, and it's got me really hyped for the next episode. Anyway, that's it for episode 20. Sorry that it's late, but thank you so much for watching. Cheers, and I might see you next time.